Before we start this video, do like and subscribe to our channel and not miss on any updates.
Hello dear students, how are you all doing? I am very sure at this point of time you must be completely engrossed in your preparation. There is going to be a little anxiety, there is going to be nervousness, stress and also excitement for the upcoming examination. But I am very sure somewhere or the other you require some guidance where you understand that what should be the right approach or whether what you are studying or what you are doing right now is a correct approach for preparation for a subject like auditing. Yes, the biggest challenge with the students faced with the understanding with this subject is what should be the right approach of preparing for this subject of auditing and ethics. Problem with the subject is the complexity of the concepts and the vast syllabus that we have. And because of that, the approach, the attitude of the student with respect to this subject, how it has to be, it is very important for them to get a right direction about the same. And that is the reason here I come today with a complete understanding to you that in this phase of your preparation, when you see your examination coming up in 2-3 months ahead, what should be the right approach for this subject of auditing and ethics? Now, first of all, there is a misconception in the minds of students that we have to understand this subject verbatim. That is, you need to get through word to word everything correctly. You have to study the theory by heart. You have to mug up the concepts. First of all, this approach by the very understanding is wrong. This subject, as I always call it, is a practical oriented subject. You have to get an understanding, conceptual clarity, and then automatically the language will sink in you. So obviously the approach of by-hearting, the approach of mugging up is not going to be possible. And let me make it very clear to you. Have you seen the volume of the syllabus? Have you seen the content? Do you really think a mind has that much capacity of taking so many things and then you expect it to remember also everything? The answer is no. It is absolutely not possible. Then how are we preparing for it? How are we going to retain it? So the idea is two important things. One, very common as I always repeat, concepts have to be clear. Second, in this subject, you have to start developing imagination. Imagination as in, when you talk about any audit procedure, when you talk about any method, when you talk about any situation, circumstances in this entire course, you should understand that that particular thing you are actually imagining. And keeping yourself in the position of an auditor, you have to start building the understanding. You have to start thinking, okay, I am the auditor in this particular aspect or in this circumstances, this should be my attitude or this should be my approach. This is the procedure. This is my requirement. This is the legal aspect that I have to follow. This is what the standard is telling me. So basically, if you actually enter into the shoes of the auditor and then start understanding this subject, trust me, you will not find it to be difficult. In fact, you will start enjoying it. And you have no other option than to enjoy the subject because ultimately, at the end of the day, we are going to be the auditors. So obviously, we need to understand it properly. So there are some points which I will highlight and I would require all the students or actually recommend all the students to follow what I am telling. And this will make your approach perfectly right. And at the end, you will have comfort and also a kind of confidence in this particular paper. So point number one, you need to understand that before you go into the depth of the syllabus, before you start, looking into the heavier parts, where you believe this is heavy, let me concentrate here, there and all this thing, first you understand that the basics, the fundamentals of the subject have to be clear. When I say basics, what I mean by it? Basics as in, you need to understand the auditing standards properly. You have to understand the applicability of the standards. You have to understand the concept of risk assessment. You have to study the concepts of internal control. And then you need to understand about the types of assurance engagements or basically engagements, all the engagements that we have. So basically first, before you get into the depth of it, you have to get a grip over these initial topics. These are the base. This is the basic of auditing. And if you have a grip over this particular area, the remaining entire subject will become very simple. So first, the basic fundamental elements like the auditing standards. Second, the concepts of risk assessment. Third, internal controls. the types of engagements that you have. This you have to get a strong understanding. Second, students always lack in writing part of auditing. Problem is they don't understand what kind of language or what English is required for this paper. This happens because you ignore the core element. That means there are certain terms in auditing which you are required to mention in the paper, which you require to understand in the right perspective. The learning, the understanding of these words have to be crystal clear. Words like true and fair, words like materiality, audit evidence, misstatement, management, TCWG, these in auditing have a very defined understanding. So when you are studying these terminologies, in fact on YouTube I also have one more video ready for you to understand all the important terms of auditing. These words, these terms, you need to start using it while you are preparing for the subject. So when you prepare for any concept, for example, if you are doing any particular standard, for example, audit evidence, there are certain terms like sufficient, appropriate evidences. There are certain terms like audit procedures. There are words like analytical procedures. These words, when you study, you have to use them as it is. If you don't use them while you are studying and you are trying to make your learning very easy by using some other simple languages, in the exam, you will find it very difficult to use the word and frame sentence with it. So you will know I have to use the word audit evidence, you know the word sufficient and appropriate, but you absolutely don't understand the context in which you bring these words together. Got it? So because of that, when you study the subject, that time itself, make it a very clear understanding that you start using these terms in the right context and actually make the usage of it in every answer that you study. So that is one of the important requirements. The third aspect, okay, whenever you study any standard, whenever you study any topic, for example, you're doing audit of banks, or maybe you're talking about a standard, like for example, you're doing SA 501. Always when you complete any particular standard, any particular topic, make it a very clear understanding that you capture synopsis for yourself. I do agree that there are a lot of books available in the market where readily you will be getting all the diagrammatic presentations, you will get all the flowcharts, everything is available. Things are everything very easy. But I strongly recommend to all of you that when you study, you try to make it by yourself. Because when you make it, the understanding that you have developed is going to be 100% clear. Somebody else preparing and you using it, that kind of understanding. And when you read it and you prepared for yourself, trust me, the value addition is going to be much, much, much better. And that is the reason when you do SA 501, for example, if you do audit evidence, specific consideration for selected items, then you know there are going to be 3 selected items here. Then you know which assertions are we validating for all the 3. Then respectively in the standard what procedure has been given. So quickly you could have a presentation done so that next time when you come back here, you will be able to look at the chart prepared by you to understand that how it is to be done or how is the procedure to be applied. Or for topics like audit of the banks and all, important areas you can simply prepare like a chart or maybe a flow chart you can prepare then and there itself in the textbook where you can do a marking and show, okay, this is first step, second step, third step, and a marking can be done. So these summaries, these synopses which are prepared by you will serve as the asset for you during your exam times. Trust me, this thing please follow so that one day before the examination, when time is an important factor for us, coverage is to be everything. So that point of time, these summary notes which are prepared, again I say, by you will serve the purpose. Understanding? Alright. Fourth, you study from the textbook that we have provided you, the material that we provided, which I believe is comprehensively covering everything. Apart from that, from the ICAI study material, you have to pick up all the test your understanding questions, which most of them we have discussed in the class itself. But the most important thing that you have to take from the ICAI material is the questions given at the back of every topic. Trust me, in the examination, there are going to be some kinds of surprise elements coming up and you see, oh, this question is there as it is in the material and it has come in the examination. So there are many a times where the questions actually get reflected directly. So this is 2 important things. One, luck in the examination, you'll find it to be, you'll be very happy there. Second, you will be able to interpret this kind of language given in the examination or in the question, what answer is expected to be written. So basically your idea regarding the formulation of question by the institute, okay, and based on that what answer they require, you will be able to correlate correctly. Because in audit, the problem with the student is not they don't understand the subject. The problem is everything is understandable, but for which question, what answer is expected, no connection. That's how you'll be able to develop when you get exposed to the questions. When you have more questions to be solved, more questions to be answered, at that point, what will happen is, you will get a clear understanding. Okay, this kind of question, that means this answer is expected. And then you see what is the content included, how is the presentation done. So basically, presentation tips, if you ask me, it is clearly available when you open the institute study material. Back when descriptive questions are given, look at the way the answer is framed. Exactly that is the way we are required to give the answer in the examination. So you are required to give the introduction, a little bit of applicability regarding the question's reference has to be given. And then from wherever you're connecting it, like from the section if it is for the company audit part of it, or maybe if it is talking about a standard, then the reference to that standard. Somewhere you connect it, or maybe if it is CARO, then give the reference to the clause of the CARO, okay, and then give your solution. So it has to be introduction, a brief explanation of the provision or the content or the CARO references that you have to give, and then should be your solution. Always remember, when you write the answers, the answer presentation has to be in bullets or pointers. Don't think that if you don't write in bullets or don't write in proper pointers and you write a paragraph, they won't give you marks. That is not the idea. You will be getting the marks for the content that you write. But then don't you think presentation by itself is also a skill? Yes. So because of that, you have to remember that the fifth element for us is going to be the writing skill. So you have to always begin your answer with the introduction, give a brief explanation of what is the context you're explaining, and finally give the solution. Now, if you connect the fifth pointer, the sixth that I would focus on is going to be that you have to expose yourself to all the available questions that are there. Meaning is, you have the institute study material, you have the past year's RTPs, you have MTPs, past year's examination papers. All of these, you should get an exposure or a kind of insight regarding these kind of questions. If you go through all of them or most of them, only then I would call your preparation to be 100% accurate. Reason being, in audit, understand, do not trust your mind in such a manner that each time I'll go on reading the theory, it is going to be, I'm going to read the content, understand it. When you go to the examination without answering even one question at your end at home, in the exam, your hands will freeze. You will not even know what it is. What is the question? On what basis are they asking? Trust me, content you'll be knowing, but you will not be knowing that this content I have to write for this particular question. So because of that, you need to understand that all of these things you have to get exposed to. And we have made this work very easy for you. We have a compiler ready wherein all these particular questions, all past question paper questions, or maybe your RTPs, MTPs, okay, all of them, almost all of them, we have compiled them together and it is available at your end. So basically for you, it is not going to be a hardship that you go and find all of this. No, you have a booklet which you have to refer, or a PDF you have to refer to. Correct? So you will have everything at one place, but you should put an effort at your end that you actually go through all of them properly. Because in audit, only theory studying is not going to help you. You have to understand that you have to do n number of questions to understand the kind of question framework would be. What kind of answer I'm supposed to write. And then in the compiler, you will see there are multiple case study kind of questions. These case studies will help you in two things. One, when you have studied a standard, whether you have understood the standard correctly, you'll be able to understand if you are able to solve the case study correctly. Second, you will get a different exposure to the real life scenarios and making your understanding even more clear. So case study kind of questions, you have to read them, understand them, and in the examination, always the case studies which come up, you have to cite the references. Either it is a section number, or it is going to be CARO, or it is going to be auditing standard. You have to mention properly, the citations have to be given. That is the way you present it. Okay, now. Last but the most important thing that you have to understand. Remember, auditing is going to be a incomplete preparation if you do not have multiple revisions. It's not only audit, it is any other subject also, because mind cannot remember everything in one go. Learning, you're doing it, you will be able to remember it, but this will be for a very short period if you are not able to revise. Understand, in schools, we used to have a very limited coverage, very limited syllabus. So quickly we used to study once, write the exam, and the game was over. Here the point is the syllabus by itself is so huge. And obviously, how are you going to expect yourself to remember everything in just one go? It is not going to be possible. In fact, trust me, you must be doing chapter 1, you reach the chapter 3. If you have not gone back again and seen chapter 1 even once, then by the time you reach the 4th one, the first one will start becoming dull. Or you'll start finding it, did I do this? Do I remember it? This is not to make you lose your confidence or not to create a fear in you, but to make you understand the reality behind it. Unless and until you revise, retention is going to be 0. So because of that, I tell you that when you prepare, there is an imagination that you're developing, I told you in the very beginning. And after that, compulsory there has to be multiple revisions. But the strategy behind revision will be that we know there are some very important topics which for the examinations are very, very important, and we have questions coming from here. Like risk assessment, the topic is very important. Some auditing standards, we see they are repeated in every examination. Okay, we have some areas which are very critical and are going to be tested. These you should have more number of revisions. So you should understand minimum 3 revisions have to happen. Only then that bulk, that heavy syllabus will be retained in your mind, and in the examination you will be able to write it. Don't expect from yourself one reading and I'm prepared for the exam. Doesn't happen. Second reading has to happen, and the third one also. Trust me, even if you're very smart, trust me for that. Okay, even if you're very smart, we know that you know very well, okay, you are very smart and you can do everything in one go. But here the problem is not your smartness. The problem is with the complexity of the subject and the length of the subject. So the subject by itself is so lengthy that whoever you are, ultimately without revision, you will not be able to retain it. And is auditing the only one subject that you're studying? No. There are all the other subjects that are there. So obviously all the subjects together coming to you, all the subjects are heavy. So because of that, in order to retain and able to remember at the right time, you need to have multiple revisions. So when you learn for the first time, you will see that some parts you already know, like very well you know, which you have concentrated during the class hours. So you are able to recollect it very properly. So what you can do is, those which you are not able to remember properly, you can put a star. Second time when you do it, that time the points, the topics which you already know very well, you might just have a glance quickly, and the ones you marked it star could be redone by you again. Then you'll realize, okay, some parts now you've become even more comfortable, but there are some more parts which you're still not able to remember. So you can mark double stars. So third time revision, what you can do? You can have a glance to the first one, second quickly glance, but double stars which you have put, those again you study properly. In this case, the first revision will take a lot of time, second will reduce, third will even then reduce. So in this case, the 3 revisions also will not look heavy, and you have served the purpose. Understand, even if you know a particular aspect perfectly, glance is very important, because if you don't take a glance, it will be out of your mind again. So glance as in quickly go through, so that at least you are telling your mind, okay, I'm able to recollect it all over again. So that is the way you prepare for the subject. You don't have to fear it. You don't have to feel it is a very heavy theoretical subject, how I have to remember and all. That thing, keep it aside. Develop confidence here. Underconfidence, overconfidence, both will not work for you. So be confident, have the kind of focus required. And one more recommendation from my end is, when you talk about subjects like accounts, costings, where numbers are involved, where practical solving is involved, you have a capacity of sitting for long hours and doing it. But theory subjects, it is very difficult to sit at one go and continuously concentrate it and study for 3 hours, 4 hours and all that. So the planning that you will be doing, that okay, I'll take one day and 5-6 hours continuously I'll do audit, that is going to be a big failure. That will not happen. Except for one day before the exam, where you have no other choice than to study only that subject. Apart from that, I really don't think it is a good idea to plan a day full of audit or any theory subject. So because of that, if you really want good results in this subject, you want to be effective and efficient together, then in that case, make a dedicated everyday timeline of studying this subject. Meaning is, I would say you study 45 minutes or 1 hour every day without fail this subject. So the time limit also you gave is little, you're studying every day. Based on that, the coverage also will be done. And you will not even feel, okay, I've studied so much theory. And based on that, the preparation is going to be very, very good. This I tell always, In fact, I have also done it during my study times, because theory is something you get very quickly bored or it becomes very dry to continue. So because of that, the best strategy that you can apply is every day without fail, consistently have a particular time slot fixed for the subject. Come what may, every day you do it. Then the burden also is not there, that heavy feeling also is not there, and automatically the subject is covered with ease and comfort. And by the end, you will have a confidence that yes, I'm done with this huge syllabus. And don't look at the syllabus every time like a long one. Try to understand, you need to break it properly. There are going to be some topics where you're going to be expert in. There are going to be some where you have a normal grip. And some maybe you're finding it very difficult to understand. So you categorize things for yourself. I will never suggest optional or selective preparation. I am only saying categorize your understanding into 3 parts, like how we do ABC analysis, like that, categorize them and prepare the A chapters in such a manner that let any question come in the exam, I'll handle. B, you know the topic but not very perfectly, so you'll be able to manage in the exam anyhow. And C could be a place where maybe you don't have a grip, but obviously 1 reading or 2 readings you have done. So if something comes, I might be able to write at least. And I always believe something is better than nothing. But A category, perfection. B, good grip, not perfectly. And C is going to be where 1 or 2 readings you have done, you have a satisfied knowledge but not expertise kind of knowledge, but you know, if something come, I'll be able to write it. So if you bucket your topics in such a manner, then trust me, you will be able to understand that this subject can be easily managed. It is not that complex as it is shown. Understand, for 2 students, A, B, C can never be the same. For you, it could be different. For your friend, it could be different. So never compare it. Always understand your A list is going to be different, B is going to be different, and C is going to be different. So because of that, don't ever expect from yourself, I'll be a master in all the chapters. Not possible. So you have to make a proper understanding, strategize properly. Okay, always remember, practicing in writing is also very, very important. And then giving mock test will also play a very crucial role. And because of that, after you finish the mock test, you will also get an understanding whether 3 hours you are able to manage everything or not. Clear? Alright. So with this, I think the study tips that you require, the techniques that you require for preparation of audit would be quite understandable. However, if you want to get to know more about it, or you want to get some kind of specific understanding of how to prepare a schedule and all, you can get in touch with me through the forum and I will be available for you. Good luck, take care, study well and stay healthy.